idea.
Oh my God, you guys kill me. The
Well,
two.
it says that when your guests enter, they'll be offered the option to stream to their socials, but it doesn't offer me that when I come into the studio. It says you should be offered the option when you come into the studio.
Yeah, you are, but we're live now, so we'll talk about that later. But it's on the top right. Tanya said the same thing, and then she was like, "It's not here," and then she screen shared. I'm like, "It's right there."
Yeah.
Thank God we have 3 people with 3 different expertises, including me being technical, because otherwise we would get no technology done. Even though Deb now claims she's a technologist, but
I don't
she
know.
can't
I got
see-
this one. I'm going live on LinkedIn, so maybe
Tanya beat Deb.
I mean, I can edit the broadcasts and add myself if that's what you want, but
No, that's not how you do it.
I wonder if I'm in as you, Alexa. Maybe that's the problem.
Now you're in as Deb.
Well, all right. What I will do is I'm actually going to remove it on Facebook. Yeah, I can only go live on one LinkedIn at a time. That's the problem. That is the problem. But anyway, where did Tanya go? Oh,
she just claimed that this is her domain, right?
I'm technical. All right. Well, anyway, hello everyone, and welcome to the Think Millions podcast. Today, we're actually talking about digital marketing, and I'm excited about this. And it's digital marketing mastery: how to drive traffic, conversions, and online presence. And you have to think about it from a upward, downward momentum of how to add. There you go.
You have to do it before you go live. Note to self, or it kicks you off. There you go.
Well, we're live. We're live everywhere, minus Debbie, because she can't figure it out. But as a business owner, as somebody in business, digital marketing is critical. It's a critical skill. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you as an owner have to do it, but you have to understand enough of it to manage it. Because whether you do it or you hire someone else to do it, you have to be dirty enough to talk the language to be able to manage someone else doing it, because otherwise it's very easy to get swindled. It's very easy to hire the wrong people or to do the wrong thing. So we're going to talk about 10 different things as a business owner that you have to understand at least the basics of, right? So I'm excited about this topic because we have a lot of listeners that are new business owners or have businesses in the low 6 figures, and they're just starting to really understand and get into digital marketing. And there's a lot of people that waste money on digital marketing, hiring the wrong people. So what do you ladies think?
100%. I mean, it's important to educate yourself, right? I mean, we talk about this all the time. I understand sometimes we think in our head, oh, this is not my strength, right? Like, I don't know anything about SEO, or I don't know anything about website design. But as a business owner, you have to do your due diligence to know at least the basics of it, so that you do know, what is supposed to be put in place, like Alexa said. So I think it's very important.
Yeah. So let's just dive into this, right? So today we're going to talk about the 10 things that you as a business owner have to know. And you just mentioned the first one, SEO. And I think it's funny because SEO has changed. I grew my first business all off Black Hat SEO. Like, that's literally, I figured out the game to get to the top, and it's how I built my first business. And the truth is, it's changed dramatically, right? It's changed from being able to game the system to actually having to produce good content. And the thing is, everybody thinks that they have to do SEO. And the truth is, you don't. As a new business owner, to be honest, it's probably my least favorite thing in all the 10 strategies of digital marketing to do, because it's time consuming, it's expensive, and it's a long-term game. And so my advice to everybody, I always say, don't focus on that at the beginning, unless you have a brick and mortar, right? Which is a very different ball game. Then you have to worry at least at a minimum getting your Google set up with your Google places, and so that people can find you, right? So that's really important. I would say that's the number one priority, is your localization of your website, making sure you have the basics, at least on-site SEO, which is important, which your web team who you hire should do that for you. And that's important. But to me, I think that SEO is very important and it's something that you should worry about. But like, for instance, for us with our agency, we're not really doing local SEO. Like we're not going after people locally. We have global international clients. So for us, SEO doesn't really matter. We're not like trying to get web design, St. Augustine, Florida. Like that's not our customer or our client. So like we don't even do SEO on our sites. Our coaching, same thing. That's not how we build an audience. What's the purpose of digital marketing? To build an audience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. And I think the best way that we built our audience, which is point number 2, is through our social media marketing. I mean, we kill it in that. And, I think a lot of people, as new business owners don't actually have a strategy in place for their social media. Right. And that's really, really important. I think a lot of new business owners, solopreneurs feel it's very daunting, right? The idea of social media. What do I put out there? What content, am I bringing in? But you have to remember, first of all, you have to know your audience first, right? I mean, in order to do social media marketing correctly, you have to know your audience, you have to know their pain points, and you have to, make very engaging posts to build up your audience, right? To build up your brand awareness and to drive traffic to whatever CTA you're putting out there, right? So a call to action on your social media is super important. I see it so often. People are just kind of putting stuff out there to put stuff out there, but they're not actually bringing their audience to a call to action, to visit their website or to download, their free guide, etc. So, I mean, social media marketing is a great way to start organically for any business.
But the expectation is wrong, right? So like, we just talked about SEO. Now we're talking about social media. And like, you have to set your expectation with both of these, right? With SEO, if you own a hair salon, yes, you need to care about local SEO. Absolutely. That needs to be part of it. But no matter who you are, it doesn't matter really what industry, you have to care about social media, because guess what? People are Googling you. They're looking you up. They're seeing what knowledge you have. They're seeing what people are saying about you. And social media allows you to be the first to go out and share that knowledge rather than other people. I look at even like people that I'm using, vendors I'm using, and I Google them. And there's like review sites and there's other sites talking about these companies. And instead of them coming up first talking about themselves, they're giving other people the voice. And that's scary.
That's scary. That's a really good point. Yeah.
But the expectation, my point is like, I feel like small business owners have this expectation. Like we recently had a client. This is actually a freaking fantastic story. So we had a client who felt like they weren't getting enough off social media. So they're like, all right, we're going to try somebody else. And so they end up using somebody else, and this person ends up getting them completely like fake engagement. They're like, oh, see, it's going good. I'm like, no, they're using engagement pods. That's terrible. Mm-hmm. And you're getting fake engagement, which means you're not getting the real leads. And the leads went from here to plummeting, because we were actually doing real engagement and real outreach, which was giving real results. And now that person's getting fake. So you can't look at what we call like the vanity metrics of social media. You have to look at what's actually coming across that's converting. And just because you don't have 100 meetings a week, you might have 10, but they're real, true people that actually want to meet with you.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's where I think the CTA is coming into place. Like, it's so good to be able to measure. Like, I love how you do it differently on all your social media, right? Alexa, like if we're on Clubhouse talking, right? And then we send out a lead magnet, that's how we can measure, obviously, on that social media app. Then you have a different call to action on Instagram, right? DM the word scale, right? Okay. Then we can measure it that way. How many people are actually engaging and messaging you versus, oh, I have, 10,000 fake followers and 20,000 likes. That doesn't matter. At the end of the day.
It's vanity. It doesn't matter. But it's also too, it's like we get feedback all the time from people that are like, it's so time consuming to create content. It's not. And we'll talk about that in a second. You're just doing it wrong. It's not time consuming and it shouldn't be time consuming. But it's too time consuming and I'm not getting anything out of this. Well, you have no idea how many people will tell us on sales calls, oh, I listened to your podcast. Oh, I love your content. And we get that feedback, but we're not seeing that in the engagement per se, but we're hearing it behind the scenes. People are watching you and you don't even know it.
You have to be consistent. You cannot stop. You have to keep going.
Yeah. And content doesn't have to be complicated. You schedule a 30-minute meeting with Tanya and she can come up with 90 days worth of content for you like this. Like go look at my content, right? Like what do I do? I'm literally like walking, talking, and like my videos go viral. Like stop putting so much effort and time into it. It's like people just want you and your authenticity.
I think one of the things to not miss for people, and you guys just said it, I'll just say it a different way, is that, you have to be present when your prospect or lead is ready to buy. You have to be there. And that's what's great about social media. Social media is playing your content 24/7. So it's always there and ready when that person's ready to buy. And you never know when that's going to be. And you're definitely being watched when you don't know it. And you find out later. And I've had people do the same thing where they're like, yeah, I've been reading all your stuff and, watching what you've been up to. And I'm like, really? Because you've never said anything to me. And then you find out later that like, yeah, I've been, keeping up with what you're up to and, want to learn more about what you're doing. And so you never know when the moment's going to be right for that customer. So you have to be there when they're ready for what you have.
And that brings me to another important point about content, though. Just the question that people might be asking there. Well, what am I putting out there, right? So there's always like the 4 pillars, right? Because you want to position yourself as a go-to expert, right? Obviously, we all talk about our expertise and what we do, but then you also want to bring in that sense of relatability, right? And like humanity, like that whole like humanizing your brand as well. And then something Alexa does really well, and Alexa, you started on this trend, and I love it. Is it could be something that has nothing to do with what you do, right? Like she could be talking about, Michael Jordan as the entrepreneur, whatever it is. But it's something that's trending, right? And something that, your target audience is interested in, and that'll draw them in, as well. So, I mean, I think those are a couple pillars that are really super important in content. And if you can, focus on those, that'll definitely help to draw in your audience.
And that's the importance of creating a marketing and content strategy. When you have the strategy, it's easy to execute, but most people don't have the strategy, or they hire a company to build this like 30, 40-page marketing plan. A 30, 40-page marketing plan is not being executed. A 1-page marketing plan, a 1-page business plan will be executed. Not a 30
pillars, you're good to go.
Yeah, like, which brings us to, so Deb was talking about hitting people at the right time, which brings us to number 3, which is email marketing. And it's cold email marketing. Obviously there's cold and warm. Warm is if you have a list, which is becoming more and more important. It's always been important, but building your own first party list is even more important now than ever. Because like, look at Meta, they're cutting back targeting tactics. Like you can't get as granular as you used to in the past. And so that because of privacy issues, more and more cutting that back, which means you have to shift your focus to building your own email list and building your own first party data. So that's really important, but cold email marketing still works really, really well. And we use this tactic a lot. I mean, we're sending upwards of 200,000 emails per client per month, and getting in front. And it gets to Deb's point of hitting somebody right when we need to. So for example, we put an email out and we happened to get a client who was like, yeah, I actually have an RFP right now. Like, boom, right? Which reminds me, we have to finish that, Tanya. That needs to be a priority. So, I think that's the most important thing is like understanding with cold email marketing, you're hitting people right when the iron's hot. And that's what's really important.
Yeah. The other thing I think about email marketing, because, it's been said for a long time that the gold is in the inbox. Like the email is the gold standard of marketing, blah, blah, blah. But really it's true. Like the first quote unquote purchase, I think a future customer is going to make with you is they're going to give you their email. And there's value in that email for the person who's giving it. Because we all know our inboxes can get really full. So if you have something worthy of the payment of an email address, that needs to be out there. And then once they're in your orbit, you can really kind of converse. And I think people think that emails are one-way conversations, but they're really not if you do them right. And again, this is something I think we're very good at is that our emails give people an opportunity to participate in that conversation. It isn't just, we're talking at you in an email. It's an actual conversation and there's an art to it. But I would say that it's a missed opportunity. Even if your list is small, start with who you know in your circle. Make sure that everybody that you know is in your email list and that you're spending time with them in there. I think it's a missed opportunity for a lot of small or newer entrepreneurs that they don't take advantage
That's
of.
such a good point, Deb. And it ties it to number 4, which is outreach, right? So when we're on social media, the number one thing you have to do is outreach to a lot of people. And there are tools out there. Like, for example, LinkedIn, we're outreaching to 200 people a day per account. So just me, Deb, and Tanya are outreaching to 600 people a day. Just so you know, LinkedIn has a max of 200 a week. And so we have figured out ways to bypass that to start conversations, but we're not hard selling. Like, we're starting conversations. And to your point, Deb, our email and our LinkedIn strategies are completely linked side by side. And so we're being very strategic with what messages are going on both and targeting the same people, because it's getting people at the right time on the right platform. And like our cold emails, I mean, we have like 80 to 90% open rates. It works tremendously well. And you know, you have to understand that it is a conversation. You can't just bark at people. The biggest pet peeve I have is when people keep emailing me over and over again, and it's just a sales pitch, and it's like, email 7, stop emailing me. It's annoying. But our emails are more conversational. Like, hey, we would love to know what your biggest challenge is right now. So we can figure out if we have a solution to fix it, rather than being like, we are the number one marketing for higher education, which we are. But besides the point, it's like, I'm not going to just bark at you.
Yeah.
Talking points.
Yeah. And I think in our messaging, like another thing we do really well is like understanding their pain points, right? So that goes to timing, right? Like understanding like where they're at, right? And kind of saying, hey, look, we get it. Like as a higher ed, these could be your, possible pain points. Like we get it. Like let us know how we can help, kind of thing. Something else we do, just, it might be fair to mention, is also layering some SMS. So some text message campaigns in conjunction with email, meeting people where they're at. Some people, I know for me, I'm like a sucker for SMS marketing. You send me a good coupon and a text message and girl, I'm clicking on it. Like, so, email, sometimes I miss it, right? Like, so it's good to layer that into
100% open, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I always see it. Right. So, yeah. So, I mean, I love that we layer that in as well. Like, what you were mentioning with the email, then, LinkedIn, we're outreaching, and then they're getting a text message, it's just constantly being in the forefront, of people's visions and at top of their mind.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And, I think just in general, it's like looking at these different strategies and piecing them together in a cohesive way. And obviously there's advertising, and people are like, oh, I don't have budgets for advertising. We have clients right now that we're doing like $5, $10 a day, and we're getting crazy results. Like, you don't have to spend a lot of money. You just have to be efficient and effective on how you're spending money. Right. And so you don't have to have a super big budget. I mean, it depends what results you want, but like for us, for instance, for coaching and we're getting $7 leads, and they're very good leads. Right. But I mean, we're spending like $25 a day, like for ourselves. We're not spending a ton of money. And even like I look at, like even Mighty Yum and some of these other products, like we only spent like $1,700 on Meta and like $2,000 on like Google, and we made 12 grand, right? So look at that. It's almost three ROA, return on ad spend, right? So it's really all about what do you put in and what are you getting out of it? And that's what you really want to focus on with advertising. But you have to try different things. You want to try TikTok, you want to try Pinterest, Meta, LinkedIn, and depending on who you are, depends on where you want to be. But there's a lot of great opportunities, and there's pros and cons to both. Like TikTok is very inexpensive still, which is great because you can get mass impressions. The issue is that it's really a content game. And so you might waste money trying to figure out what content works, where content typically works way better on Meta quicker, right? Because it's already proven, people are kind of on there. Where TikTok, it's like scroll, where Facebook, the interface isn't like that, where you're scrolling, but you're not, it's like there's breaks in between, there's white space. It's easier to miss an ad on TikTok. And then the buy now button doesn't appear, or learn more button doesn't appear for the first 5 seconds. So those are the types of things that make TikTok a little tricky. But it's a content game. You have to create content that actually captures people to want to stay around. And there's people that have figure that out very well, especially in the product game, in the product world. But as long as you can figure out the content game, TikTok can be incredible. The other one that's kind of an underdog is Twitter. Twitter is super inexpensive to advertise, and people like forget about that platform, but it has a huge engagement rate on there. LinkedIn is so expensive. Yeah, you can target, directors of marketing, but it's like crazy expensive. I'd rather target them on a different platform like a Twitter and get in front of the same exact people, but it's so much cheaper, right?
Yeah. And it's so much more niche, I feel like Twitter, like the conversations are so close knit and the people you're having the conversation with are exactly who you want to get in front of. Where I feel like TikTok sometimes it's like spread so wide. So I love that. Something else, I mean, speaking of Mighty Yum, I mean, this is like the ultimate, marketing thing that we do is affiliate marketing, right? I mean, there's so many people that are so invested in this product and our brand and they love it so much, right? And they want to refer it to other people. Well, that's a great digital marketing tactic, especially for a product-based company. I mean, even service-based, you could do affiliate marketing too. And it's a really, really good way to get other people working for you, right? It's literally like building an army of salespeople, right? And obviously something important there is to really have a proper process in place, right? For your affiliate marketers, for them to understand your brand, how to talk about your brand, how to sell your brand, giving them assets, right? And guidelines to really push them to put your product out there. But it works. We've been doing great with our affiliate marketing. With Mighty.
And the thing about affiliate marketing is like when people love your brand, like you said, Tanya, they're willing to sell it for you. And so just adding and if you have a Shopify account, it's so easy to just add an affiliate software to do everything for you. So it's super easy way. Let other people do the work for you. Like I look at ThinkFuel. That's how we get most of our businesses, through my connections and affiliates. Like I call them affiliates, but it's like business development people that they don't do marketing, but they have clients. Yeah. And so they now say my marketing team, which is us. And so we have a series of people, and it used to be Deb. Now she's part of the team, but she was one of those people and still is, but now she's part of the team. But we have people that are not on our team that we just give referral fees to because they trust us. They trust that we're good at what we do. And they now, and think about the pro for them. Now they can say, this is, my product, or they can say, this is my marketing team. Right. So it's really a really effective way.
Well, I live in North Carolina, which is the home of Mr. Beast. So I'm super familiar with like the whole influencer marketing economy. Like, and obviously that's a different level, but he pulls in numbers that Disney would love to have on their Disney Plus channel, or Fox or ABC. They would love to hit his numbers. Like influencer.
Well, do you want to know why he has his numbers? Do you know the story?
Well, yeah, but go ahead.
So Mr. Beast blew up in English, and he was smart, and he was like, I'm going to do content in every language.
Yeah.
And that's how he became even bigger, 4 or 5x. We heard this recently on another call. And I think that's incredible. He was like, all right, how can I get in front of more people? And he did all his content in different languages. Like how cool is that?
He was strategic in the beginning, but he had to put out good content to keep it up, to keep his audience.
That's right. Yeah. You have to have really good content to be able to duplicate it in multiple languages. Because if it translates well across all these languages, then that shit's good.
Every strategy is different, and not everybody needs that big of a massive audience, right? So it really depends on what you're selling. Like a Mighty Yum, we want the biggest audience that we can gain, and we're slowly building that audience. We're bootstrapping using influencers, bootstrapping other people's audiences, and influencer marketing is a great way to do that. But I look at coaches or web developers or agencies, in that game, it's not the most attention who wins the game necessarily. Maybe in the coaching world, but definitely not in the agency world. It's really relationships. And I rather have 10 solid relationships that bring me a lot of business than thousands that don't bring me any business at all.
Yeah. I mean, why put a lot of energy, time, money, and effort into talking to the wrong people? We don't do that in real life. It's funny how we'll do it digitally. We don't, know.
Yeah. But influencer marketing, and there's a lot of really great software out there. You could do it manually, but there is software out there. And there's pros and cons. You can get influencers for $150, that do a pretty decent job, that have great that have great TikTok. Now, the difference between Instagram and TikTok with influencer marketing and what I find is that on TikTok, you have much more engagement. So you have people that are between 10 to 30% engagement, where Instagram, like, you're lucky to get 3%. And so that's the only problem with Instagram is when you put content out from an influencer, like 2 to 3% of their people are actually seeing it, where TikTok, you're in the 10s and the 20s, right?
Yeah.
So personally, I think like you have to experiment with all of it. You have to experiment with different accounts, different people. I mean, we did a cute TikTok influencer, and it was like of a little girl, and she went viral, right? And I honestly didn't think it was going to go viral, but everybody thought she was so cute, it went viral. And we got really good sales off it. But then we had another one that went viral, and we got no sales off it because the content was more about how cute the little girl was than our product. So you have to find the content that really works.
You got to experiment.
Which kind of brings us to video marketing. I'll let Tanya take this one.
Yeah, video marketing. I feel like so many people shy away from this, even with their personal organic, right? Putting themselves out there. But you have to understand, right? Whether you have a product or a service, video marketing comes to mind, obviously YouTube, right? YouTube Shorts, YouTube, like over 2 billion people visit YouTube on a monthly basis. Second most used search engine, basically, than Google, right? What are people going there to look for? They're looking to get educated, right? So the more that you can use your video marketing to obviously position yourself as a go-to expert, yes, the relatability, get people engaging. I don't care. Talk about your dog Toto, but to really showcase and promote your products and your services, there's a very strategic way to do video marketing, right? To be able to educate them and to bring them along on that journey of what I like to say, the customer journey, right? In that beginning stage when they're like, ooh, they have this awareness, like, ooh, I might need a plant-based product for my kid, right? Then they're searching, right? They're in the search mode. Then they're in consideration, right? They're looking at you and somebody else, right? And then they're going to come with you and purchase. Taking them along that way and being able to answer the questions that they have through video marketing, it's like next to none. I love video marketing for digital. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, it's so effective. And even like with ads, what we're finding is you get much more engagement and click-through rates on videos than and even on YouTube, like you don't even have to show your face. I mean, we're using AI bots to literally do the voiceovers, animated videos, and we're getting a ton of views.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think it's incredibly important. So the other thing that's really important that people don't think about as a business owner are reviews, right? When you Google yourself, what do people find? And the thing is people, unless you ask, are not going to give you reviews. Like, so we use a review system that literally will email people that buy our products and say, hey, we would love for you to give us a review. And the most important thing here is, like, if you do have negative reviews, that's okay, but then work through it with the client, right? Like, we had somebody that left us a 3-star review on Mighty Yum, and because they were upset that the shipping took a while. So I wrote them, said, hey, totally get it. Here's what happened. Here's why it took an extra week. We apologize. Let me send you a free box. And she was like beside herself. She was like, oh my God, thank you. And I turned that customer from being really unhappy to happy. So don't ever be scared to get negative reviews. Just fix it, right? And it gives you the opportunity. But what we find is if you don't ask, people will not leave you 5-star reviews. They will leave you bad reviews, but they won't leave you positive reviews. So you have to have a system in place to automatically automate going out and asking for reviews.
It's funny. I love that. I'm so glad this is on the list, because like yesterday, on the masterclass coaching call, that was one of the things that came up. One of our clients didn't have a system for that. And we talked about that I'm like, if nothing else is part of your offboarding, but really you want to do it somewhere in the middle of service delivery when they're really excited about what you're doing for them, what result you're helping them get. Yeah. And I said, it's super simple. People know how to make a video on their phone now. Don't overcomplicate it. You might give them a couple prompts if they want it, but otherwise you just want them to talk about how doing business with you has helped them get the result they're after, whatever. And, it just hadn't occurred to them. So I think that is a huge missed opportunity. It doesn't cost anything. You don't have to spend money on it. You could put it on your website. You can put it on your socials. You can put it on your highlights, on your Instagram stories. I mean,
You
it's
can incorporate it into your email marketing and your SMS to ask for the review, but also part of advocacy or that customer journey stage of their when they're with you and even after is the referral part. We talked about referrals, but a lot of people aren't asking for
right.
it. They don't have a referral program set up. People don't even know. And then, the business owner, they're assuming, oh, well, people will refer me. No, they're not. What's in it for them, right? Like, do you have a referral program? What are you giving to them? Like, you have to set that up. And if you do, and you have it automated, even better, right? So I think that is definitely something. Those two things are so important.
Those two things are gold. I mean, really, if you do those two things, it could change your business.
Cash flow lady. It's
That's
more
right.
expensive to get a new
Money,
client.
money,
Then it
money,
is
money. Hey, come on, Deb. Like, why are you dancing?
I'm watching. I'm
offended.
mesmerized. I'm mesmerized.
I'm offended. That's just like
You're dancing.
I couldn't stop looking. I just was. You hypnotized me with those incredible moves.
Say it again, Deb. It's more expensive to get a new client than it is to keep your current one.
So much more expensive.
Yeah, it's why I literally lose sleep, not about new money, but recurring money. I literally lose sleep.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what are we doing to keep clients happy? Like, and I don't care how good you are. I would say we are very good at what we do, but it doesn't mean we're perfect. And sometimes clients aren't happy. But what does make us better than most is we actually freaking care.
Oh
and
my
we're
gosh.
like,
we obsess about it.
yeah, it's like, okay, how can we be better for you? Like, you tell me. And it's why building this relationship with clients of transparency and honesty is really important, because they have to feel like they can actually talk to you. Right. And I think that's something that we do very well. But listening
sometimes too well, because then we get into different conversations with our clients.
That's a good point.
The
last thing that I think is, I would say, understood, underestimated. There you go. Thank you. Is mobile optimization. So to me, it's probably one of the most important things, and it kind of boggles my mind how many people in 2023 don't have their website optimized for mobile. And just because it looks good on mobile does not mean it's optimized on mobile. And we see this right now with a major client that we have. Their mobile optimization, and this is like a $30-40 million company, is a 2 out of 100. And and it's slow to load. The images aren't right. Like,
terrible.
It's that navigation, like everything is terrible about it. And so it's really important. And we have another client we're working with now that was paying thousands a month for a web team and an SEO team, and nothing was done correctly. So it is so easy. You could even just type in like Google website grader, and Google will tell you how good your website is. Like, it's right at your fingertips. You can test. These are the things, as a business owner, you have to understand. How can you test what your teams are doing to make sure they are doing it? Otherwise, you waste so much money. So that's what I have to say. And also remember, cheaper is not better. We have come through, and we have like taken accounts that were paying 1/4 what they pay us now. And we've had to clean up a lot of stuff, and a lot of blacklisted websites and bad marketing campaigns. And, oh, I went with this company because they charged me only 8% ad spend, where you were charging 15, but yet they wasted all their money because they got no sales. Right. So remember that cheaper is not always better. Go for experience. And I think that will bode you well in the better than cheap. Cheapy, no goodie.
You pay for what you get.
You do. You pay for what you get. So,
or you get what you pay.
You get what you pay for.
You get what you pay for.
That too. So, look, at the end of the day, you have to be well-versed in digital marketing as a business owner. Educate yourself. Join courses. Watch YouTube. Get a coach. Whatever you have to do to educate yourself. But it's overwhelming. So don't get so bogged down with. And we kind of went high level today. We'll break each of these down on longer calls each week. Don't get flustered. It's a lot. Just focus on one thing at a time, and you should really figure out what 2 things do you want to focus on. 1 to 2 things. That's it. You don't want to do all 10 of these things, right? Pick 1 or 2, get really good at it, and then add to it. So that's what we have for you today. If you enjoyed this, then follow us, subscribe to our podcast, and we would love to continue to educate you on how to scale to millions, because that is what we do in our sleep. So we could talk about this all day long. And thank you, Tanya and Deb. And you guys are the best. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.